CQ Blind Ham. Hello, CQ Blind Ham. CQ Blind Ham from November Echo 5 Victor. CQ Blind Ham. CQ Blind Ham from November Echo 5 Victor.
This is the CQ Blind Hams podcast. For more information, visit www.blindhams.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CQ Blind Hams, a wonderful podcast to learn how to do ham radio or how to get in trouble with ham radio from a blindness perspective. This podcast can be found by going to www.blindhams.com, and you can find a link to it there. Or, if you prefer to go to YouTube, go to the channel CQ Blind Hams. Today, we have Joel, who's normally the host of the podcast, W0CAS.
Hey, good morning, Julian. And I thought today you would be the guinea pig.
Oink, oink. Okay. And we have our trusty audio engineer making sure that we all sound great, Angelo, N2DYN. Okay. So I understand you're trying to get in on the fun of IAXRPT, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I want to be able to play with that set at the big kids table.
Yeah, and you know, it's a wonderful tool to have. For those of you who don't know what IAXRPT is, it's something that you can use in conjunction with AllStar. So right from the beginning, let's get this out of the way. You have to have an AllStar node set up that you have access to in order to proceed with this application. This is an application that runs on your Windows PC. And in essence, it allows you to remotely access your AllStar node and be able to transmit, receive, send commands and functions, etc. It's a lot of cool stuff you can do. But one of the coolest things that I really like about IAXRPT is that it lets you go full duplex.
Duplex.
Yes. So for those who don't know, full duplex means that you can talk and listen at the same time. So you know how when you're listening to the Blind Hams Bridge, you hear doubles going on, and sometimes you'll get people who will go on for minutes at a time, unbeknownst to the fact that someone else is also transmitting at the same time. And then what's really fun is when you get two people who like to key down on that pickle for a while, and you get a 3-minute long double.
I've heard quadruples before too. And sometimes you can hear half of what one or two of them.
Yeah, and I can imagine it's especially fun if you're trying to run a net. So the cool thing about being able to go full duplex is that if you are talking and you hear somebody else start talking, you can kind of stop and either, let go of the pickle, if you will, or just hold on to it and let them say what they're going to say, and then say, okay, I think I'm doubling with so-and-so, and I guess at that point you can choose to either turn it to them or acknowledge them and say what you were going to say and then turn it over to them. So it's a very helpful and fun thing. And then, of course, when you get a few people that have it, once in a while we get into these full duplex conversations, which not a good thing to do for a prolonged period of time because it locks everybody else out effectively because no one can key up their node while full duplex conversations are happening. So it's not something you want to do for a prolonged period, at least on a busy bridge like the Blind Hams, but it's just a fun toy to play with. So there is a way, what I'm going to take you through, Joel, is how to find and download the setup files and things that you will need. And then once you do and you install them, how to set it up with your proper credentials so that you too can have fun playing IAXRPT. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the website blindhams.com, www.blindhams.com. You're going to look for a link that says Ham Radio Links. And on that page, you're going to look for the link that allows you to download the setup file and PDF setup instructions for IAXRPT. Now, I'll tell you that the PDF that comes with that certainly was helpful to me in the beginning, but it did not fill in all the blanks. I really had to do a lot of guessing and, of course, getting on the air and asking. It's a wonderful thing about Blind Hams. You can do that and get good answers. So between all of those methods, I was able to figure this out, and I decided to just write down the steps and make it a little easier for the next guy to set this up so that we could take some of the guesswork out of it. So you need to go there, download this one package that contains the installer file as well as the PDF setup instructions. And while you're there, if you're a JAWS user, you're also going to want to go to the link that's right below there that talks about downloading the IAXRPT JAWS scripts. This is important because this app, IAXRPT, is old. When you look at the date on it, you'll understand this thing's been around for a while and hasn't been updated in ages. So because of that, there are certain things that are, shall we say, lacking. It is not 100% accessible, but these scripts that were, by the way, well written and generously provided by Frank, who we hear on the air all the time, KM6GAA, out of Northern California. One day I was on there talking about, boy, it's such a pain having to always, either use a mouse pointer to click in the middle of this thing when it's loaded, or use a JAWS cursor and all this stuff to get it in focus. And he goes, I could write a little script that does this. So he did, and he allowed me to share it with anybody who needed it. So it is up on the Blind Ham site as well on that same page. I highly recommend that you download it. So once you've got all this downloaded, you are going to open the installer. You're going to run through it. It's pretty much a standard installation process, so we're not going to go into that because I believe that most people listening to this have the necessary skills to understand how to install a program on a PC if you're going to want to play with this. So you're going to install that. Then you are going to open the JAWS scripts, and you're going to install it in the place where it goes. Now, the instruction I was given initially pointed me to a certain folder that I couldn't find in JAWS 2021. So it differed slightly if you're running JAWS 2021 versus JAWS 20, and I'm guessing earlier. So you should be familiar with the instructions on how to install a JAWS script. I'm not going to go into that right now since we're focusing on IAXRPT. So, okay, now that you've got the program installed, you've got your JAWS scripts installed, you've done what you need to do, you're ready to start setting up IAXRPT. So you're going to open the shortcut that you have for running IAXRPT, and and you'll see the app comes up. It may read some things on the screen to you. It may even also tell you that by hitting Insert and H, it'll give you some hotkeys. So that'll come in handy once you've got this set up, because there are some very useful hotkeys that are made possible only if you've installed the JAWS script.
Oh, okay. I'm not a JAWS user. I use NVDA, a low vision, so I basically still use the NVDA read to me.
Okay.
Via the mouse pointer.
Okay. So yeah, this won't be an issue to you. But to anybody who's listening who is a JAWS user, I highly recommend installing these scripts. It'll make using the app a lot easier. It won't seem quite as weird when you launch something and you tab and you're not getting any responses that you're expecting to get when you normally launch a program. So I understand you have a ClearNode, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the instructions because that's what I have. So my instructions are based on the use of a ClearNode. They may differ slightly if you're using something else like a Shari or one of the other nodes. But I think for the most part, they will be the same because the information you're going to need to put into IAXRPT is the same regardless of what node you're using. But these instructions are from the perspective of having a ClearNode.
I think it should work on most nodes, and like you said, if there's some variation and getting on blind hands and just asking questions, I'm sure someone would have a Shari or just have an RPG or some of the other can be able to help out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on there who have these various nodes, and Joel's right. Everybody on Blind Hams is incredibly willing to help, and that's one of the things I really, really love about this network. So you're going to go to your phone, and you're going to open the ClearNode app. At that point, you're going to be on a screen, probably the beginning screen, which will show all the nodes that you have in use with this ClearNode app. Most of us, like me, only have one. So you're going to find the button that has your node number and states the current state of your node, whether it's connected to something or not. So find and activate that button. Then once you're on that page that has all the stats, the buttons that let you tweak your radio settings, allow you to make connections, that tell you all kinds of things like your IP address. And by the way, make note of your IP address. Pay attention to that part of the screen because you're going to need to know your IP address that your node sits on so that you can tell it to IAXRPT, because that's the only way it's going to be able to find it and connect to it. So usually your IP, it'll say IP address, and it's usually a number that starts with 192.168.something.something. So depending on how many devices you've got on your home network, that .something may vary quite a bit. But usually it starts with 192.168 at least. So that's a clue. Jot down that or memorize that IP address because it's going to come in handy shortly.
Okay, got that. Is that all we need on the app? That plus...
No, not quite yet.
Oh, okay. Getting ahead of myself.
So you're going to need to, on that page, you're going to find the AllStar Setup button, and you're going to want to activate it. And there's a lot of things on that page, but the thing that you're going to want to find is a particular edit field. There is an edit field that's called User IAXRPT Password. Now, actually, before you open it, look to see if there's something already in there. In some cases, I understand that Jerry is now filling that in for you with the same password that you provided as your node password. So if that's already filled in, then you don't need to pay attention to that. You can basically leave it alone and get out of there.
Okay, got the password.
And if it's blank, then again, you can write anything you want in there. But I say to keep it simple, just use the same password that's your node password, and that can be found if you basically go up above if you're using exploration mode, or if you're using the swipe or flick method, a flick to the left once or twice should put you in that edit field that has your node password. So make a note of it if you're going to take my recommendation, because you're going to need that as well to give to IAXRPT.
All right.
Okay, so once you've done that, you can basically put down, you can get out of the ClearNode app and put down your phone. You're not going to need it anymore for this process.
Okay.
So the next part is setting up IAXRPT. So you're going to go back to your PC, and if you haven't already opened it, you're going to open IAXRPT.
Okay, we got it open.
And then you're going to want to go to the options menu. So if you're using JAWS, and I believe NVDA, this should work as well, you're going to hit Alt and then O. So press Alt and hold Alt, and at the same time then press O. That's going to open your options menu.
Okay.
And then arrow down to Accounts and activate that.
Manage accounts.
Okay, so yeah, that's going to open the Manage Account dialog box. You're going to want to find a button that says Add ...
Hold on, where'd it go? Well, host name. Where's the Add button?
Unfortunately,
here it is.
I don't know how to do this visually.
It's down
so,
the
okay.
bottom. If you're looking for it, it's
yeah, I know you normally think to look for things like that at the top, but when you're using a screen reader, you don't always get the layout of that. That's one of the fun things, by the way, just a side note of using touchscreen devices versus keyboard-only devices, is you get a better idea of where things are actually located on a screen. So anyway, you found that Add button and you activated it?
Got it. I'm at account name.
Okay, so account name is the first field. You're going to enter your AllStar node number.
Okay. 581. Okay.
Okay, and then below that is a description edit field. That's an optional field. It's basically just to give a name or a description to this. So on mine, I just wrote ClearNode.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, you done with that?
Got it.
Okay, so the next one is host. And this is the one that sort of threw me for a loop at first, because I don't know why they didn't just write what they really want in there. What you really want to put in there is the IP address that I had you take down earlier.
Yeah, you would never think that.
You know, a lot of times these things are written by geeks, for geeks, and it's just assumed that you have a certain level of knowledge or clairvoyance, I guess, that you can read their mind what they mean. But yeah, so what you want to put is your IP address that you wrote down earlier.
Okay, got it.
Okay, the next field that you're going to encounter is username.
Let me guess, call sign.
No.
Oh, man.
This is one of these things where you just have to know or find out from somebody. The username is IAXRPT, all in lowercase.
Okay. IAXRPT. It's funny how NVDA says IAXRPT.
Okay, so the next field is password. So you need to write down you need to enter that password that you wrote down earlier that you created or was already provided for you.
I pasted it in because I took it off. And I got to confirm it, I guess.
Yep.
Same thing.
So you just re-enter it again.
Got that.
And now you're going to see a combo box that says type.
Type. Got it. What am I looking for?
You want to set that to duplex because that's what's going to let you have the fun with full duplex.
Oh, that's the fun button.
Yeah. If it's set to simplex, then you're going to have basically what you have with your radio going through your node, a one-way thing. So set it to duplex.
Got it. Now what's next?
Now, there's a bunch of other little options there that I don't think are important. So I would say skip through them.
Okay, yeah, one touch key has monitor. Mute on PTT. Does that? No, that wouldn't. You wouldn't want to check that because that way you wouldn't get duplex, would you?
Which one?
It says mute on PTT.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. That's what I'm saying. Kind of leave that. Yeah. Leave those alone.
Okay. So what are we looking for next? Is that all of it on all these?
Hold on, before you close out of there, there's a couple of check boxes that just for jollies, for what it's worth, on mine, the show connection checkbox and log to display are checked. So if yours are checked, just leave them alone.
Got it. Yep, they're both checked.
So you want to find and activate the save button now.
Save. Got it.
Okay, that's part of one of that. There's another thing you need to go to now.
All right.
Are you back on the main screen?
Yes.
Of the app? Okay. So hit your options menu again and look for the arrow down or find preferences.
Hold on. Lost options. Well, have description, host. I've lost it. What do you hit? Control-O?
Hit Alt-O and see if that brings up the options menu.
No.
Yeah, that may not work unless you're running a screen reader. So in the menu bar, we don't see a menu that says options.
It says name, description, host.
Okay, you're back on on the screen for creating. So are those fields blank in this thing you're looking at?
Yeah, they're all blank.
So hit cancel on that then. If those are blank, hit cancel.
No, they're not blank. No.
They have your info.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So hit save.
Oh, there's edit. There's done. Can we hit done?
Okay, hit done. Okay.
There we go.
Sometimes they throw these extra things at you. I don't know why. I would think save would be save and it would take you to it. So hit done. And now you should be on the main screen of IAXRPT. Are you there? There's nothing else showing other than the main screen?
I think, yep. I got options.
All right. So hit your options menu and this time look for preferences.
Preferences. Got preferences.
Okay, so now you want to look for, at the top of that box, there should be a tab that says caller ID.
Got it. Click that.
So activate that.
Okay.
And there's a name field. Want to guess what you're going to answer there?
Call sign?
Yes. Ding, ding,
all
ding,
right.
ding. See, you're learning to think like geeks. And it's in all caps.
Oh, okay. All right. Got that.
And then there's a number field. Is there a 0 in there?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to leave it that way. That's what it needs to be at.
Okay.
So hit the save button, and if it now presents you with a done button, hit that.
Well, okay. No, don't hit the apply. Just hit
yeah.
Save button pressed. I hit save.
And now look, is there a done button maybe that it's asking you for, like the last one?
It says save again. Oh, okay, got it. It said save, apply, and done.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it?
Okay, so you're pretty much set. So if you have your node set up to, like if your node is already connected to something,
yeah, it's connected.
By hitting, so if you hit the connect button, you should now hear it, and you'll probably, if you've got telemetry turned on, you're going to hear something funny. It's going to say your call sign connected to your call sign, or your node number if you don't have the call sign. If you have it set to read as numbers, it's going to say your node number's connected to your node number. Because what you're essentially doing is your computer is connecting to your node. and because you set your caller ID to be your call sign, I'm guessing that that's why it does that. So it may sound funny when you hear that, but that's why it happened. All right, so everything's entered in. Everything's looking good. So ready to rock and roll?
Sounds good.
All right, give it a shot. Connect.
Connect. And it's connecting. All right, sounds good. Everything's up and running. I've got my headset on so you can hear what I'm hearing. It's all up and running. I do hear some beeping when somebody's trying to talk. It's a beep, beep, beep. But I talked with Steve, W0CAS, and he told me what to look for. And it's an NVDA setting for anybody that's NVDA. Beep, 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 beep. It's a progress bar issue, and NVDA is trying to report my progress.
Yeah. So just to point out again, these instructions were kind of written by me, and from the perspective of a JAWS user, since that's what I am. So inevitably, different screen access solutions are going to perhaps introduce a different way of doing things or a different way of providing you feedback visually or audibly. So with JAWS, we don't have those kinds of beeps or things like that. But yeah, I understand that NVDA does. They convey information a lot by different beeps, different pitch changes and such. So it's something to keep in mind. There are people who are going to do it all with screen reader or one of various screen readers. So it could be JAWS, NVDA, or even narrator. It's getting better and better. So more people are going to perhaps use that solution. Some people are going to use maybe screen magnification software. So all that to say that your mileage may vary from solution to solution, but more or less, if you follow I guess the intent of the instruction